So I think CrossFit is great as a kind of community. You know, you have that community, you have that competition, and if people enjoy CrossFit and they want to continue doing that, I think that it's definitely, beneficial. I think there can be a component where there is a little bit of an overtraining component if you are, getting kind of, you're going to CrossFit 5 or 6 days a week, and this is where I was at. You really have to be careful with that. And then if you're trying to also maybe go into a fat loss phase or a diet, you do have to really just pay attention to your nutrition side of things. And if you're going into a deficit and you're pairing, intense training on top of that, especially high intensity training, sometimes that can be a recipe for disaster. And you're kind of getting away from that recovery side of things. That's something I've learned the hard way over the years, is recovery is a huge part of everything. And I find with a lot of the females that I work with, and this used to be me, where I feel like, doing more is always better. That's how I was in that kind of camp. Like, oh, if I go to CrossFit 3 days a week, then if I go 4 or 5, that's going to be better, right? And if I reduce my calories this much, well, if I reduce them more, I can get faster results, and that's better. Well, it doesn't really work like that. So that's what I found. Recovery is a huge thing to pay attention to. That would be one of the main components that I work on with my clients. And moving more into a hypertrophy style training, CrossFit is, and we don't have to necessarily go down the CrossFit rabbit hole, but it is a performance sport versus like an aesthetic sport. So if you really are looking to build muscle and do it in the most efficient way possible, then CrossFit might not be your best route. Hypertrophy training and following a progressive training program where you can, track your training over time and continue to improve, week after week after week, that is where that muscle growth is going to come from. Not saying you can't do it in other ways, but if you are looking for the most efficient route, that's probably going to be obviously your number one. Making sure that you're actually eating enough food in general, like I mentioned with female clients, if you're looking to build muscle, eating enough food. If you don't have fuel coming in to facilitate that muscle growth, you're just going to continue to work hard and you're not going to be seeing the results that you should be seeing. So you need some fuel to come in to be able to support that recovery. Because I always say this, when you're in the gym training, you're breaking down your muscles. You're literally tearing your muscle fibers apart. You're breaking them down. The muscle growth happens when you're sleeping, when you're recovering, right? So that's something that, if you can switch your mindset to hey, I need to recover and I need to fuel myself appropriately if I want to see the adaptations from what I'm putting onto the stress that I'm putting onto my body. If I'm not recovering, then I'm doing all this work really for nothing, just to burn out. And yeah, maybe I'll see a little bit of results, but it's going to end up not being so great in the end. So fueling enough, yeah. Protein intake is huge. Those would probably be some of the tops that I would focus on.